Hello, everyone, and I would like to begin by thanking everyone for making this happen. David, Simon, Sarah, University of Malmo, of course, Arduino, Supply Frame, DigiKey, our sponsors. This is a really fun workshop, and I am very happy that it is taking place. We are going to learn about electronics, how they interact with products. We will understand the difference between a development board, a microcontroller, and a PCBA. And finally, we're going to apply all this knowledge to a product of your making. So today is the introduction, and Wednesday we will have the class on electronic product design. And finally, on Friday, we will have the final presentation. So let's begin. Um, and probably the best place to begin is the project page on hackaday.io. This is where all the information relevant to the development of your project lives. Now, how to find this project page? You just need to go to hackaday.io and look for this project, PCB Lamp Workshop Arduino Edition. Let me show you with, yes, if you're not logged on and you don't have that project page already open, you can just search for PCB Lamp Arduino Edition. I found there are tons of Arduino projects on hackaday.io, so if you add the Arduino Edition, makes it easier to find. So here we are. This is pretty much what you are going to see if you don't have an account opened yet, which I recommend you do very soon. So let's take a quick look. Well, I should back up and start by explaining what the project consists of. It is going to be an LED lamp, but it will be no ordinary lamp, and that is thanks to you, and thanks to Arduino, of course. This lamp will be controlled by a BLE Sense development board that comes packed with a ton of cool sensors. It will be up to you to decide what sensors to use, and if this project even becomes a lamp, it can be an indicator or anything else. You will have at your disposal 4 shapes where to choose from: a horseshoe shape, circle, line, and square. They all have the same circuit and the same number of LEDs, so anything you do for one would work for the other. So this is just for you to choose in terms of creativity. Okay, so let's check out the project page. When you open a hackaday.io project page, this is what you find at the beginning: the title and then the sections. I recommend you to take some time and go over these. First of all, the description, details about this project, a little bit of an explanation. So we have three main hardware components for this project. Number one is the controller board. This is where the Arduino BLE is. Then we have a lamp board, which is a lighting element. And finally, a ribbon cable to connect the base to the lamp. Now, we sent you 2 different lengths, 6 inches and 10 inches, so that you can choose, depending on your project, how distant you want the controller board from the lamp board. Then we have a bit of an explanation about the firmware. This runs on Arduino, so the code is in Arduino. I understand the BLE also works with MicroPython. If you feel more comfortable with MicroPython and you know your way around it, please, by all means. And let's take a moment to check out these different sections. And I'll go from the quickest to the more thorough. Components. This is just a list of components that you may need separate from your enclosure, right? So one thing is the components that we sent to have the boards ready to go. And well, depending on what kind of enclosure you made for your lamp, this list, I'm sure, will get much longer. And then files. If you click on files, and this is something that I always like to remind people, go to files and don't forget to click on view all 19 files. You will find here a lot of very interesting and useful files for your project. The first ones that have the .ino extension are the different sketches or different code for your lamp. We'll get to that in a minute. STP, if you studied or if you're familiar with 3D models, then you'll know that STP files are 3D representations that are highly flexible, they're highly adaptable to different software. They can be opened with Solid Edge, SolidWorks, Fusion, Rhino, FreeCAD. Okay, so we included here the STP versions of each lamp board and each controller board. Then we have AI versions. Now these are more focused on assembly holes and profiles of the units, so that you know, if you need to laser cut something or use a router for an enclosure, well, you have all the information here. This is very important too, the data sheets of any relevant components. For instance, this is the data sheet for the ribbon cables. In case you say, oh, you know what, I need something longer than the 10 inches, or I need something shorter than the 6 inches. Well, we provided you the data sheet so that you know exactly which model to buy. Then, this is a data sheet for the LEDs that are in the lamp board. These are RGB independently addressable LEDs, meaning that you will have a lot of interesting colors to play with, and being independently addressable, they don't need to work as a string, right? You can have one do one thing, you can have the other do something else. One can be lit up pink, the other one can be yellow. And this is the data sheet of the board, of the Arduino board that is powering the project. So we recommend you to take a look at it. And finally, these are suggestions. I don't think there's McMaster in Sweden, but well, this is a store in the US. Think of it as an Amazon for builders. And the very cool thing is that they include data for all the products that you have, or most of them. You know, it's not just these drawings, but they also include 3D models for most of them. So even if you don't buy from them, you can have here a very clear idea of pitch, of radius, diameter, etc. that could be useful for your project. Cool. So this is files. And then finally, these are the instructions to set up your project or to have your development board and lamp running. Here's an overview, and it's an explanation of the ribbon cable, of the board shapes that you can choose. And I really recommend you to read this before you start designing your lamp or your project. Why? Well, for instance, here's the explanation about each component: the ribbon cable, lamp board, controller board. then we take a moment to look at the controller board. Now this board, you are going to solder the battery holder by yourselves. Yes. However, based on your design, you may want the battery holders on top of the board next to the BLE, or you may want them to the bottom. So reflect on how your design will look like, and only then start with the soldering. And of course, be mindful of the polarity. Then some explanation about the lamp board. Here I tried to put the more relevant electronic components for you. You don't need to know everything about it, but you do need to know certain things. For instance, where the LEDs are, where the assembly holes are, and the diameter and location, and also where the connector is, which it's the same for the board, correct? The controller board. You need to know where the batteries go, how big these are, and USB connectors, etc. And this is where 3D files or cutouts are interesting, profiles, because now you don't have to just wonder about this. If you download the STP files and open them with a 3D design software, you will have all this with accurate dimensions. So when you plan your design, you'll know exactly where things go, what to avoid, etc. Now, the thing I can tell you right now, and that is important, is the sensors on the Arduino BLE are here. So this is the section that you may want to keep available for them to see. So there they are. Okay. Then we talk a little bit about the BLE Sense. You have fantastic faculty over there at University of Malmo, and that are very familiar with Arduino. Number one, David, but the team in general. So I am sure there will be many people who are familiar with these boards. Here are the sensors that I was talking about. So don't hesitate to ask. Then we have a little explanation about microcontrollers, how they impact your product, design inspiration. This is just a mention of the inception of the project, the shapes you can choose from. Now the recommended tools to solder your components will be these. It's just a simple soldering iron, some solder, and wire cutters, and batteries, of course. And of course, this is for the hardware part only. Based on what your project will look like, you may need other tools. Finally, we talk a little bit about the Arduino sketches, how to download Arduino IDE, and how to make sure it's up and running in your computer. And that's it for now. Thank you everyone for your attention. Happy learning, happy hacking, and I will be seeing you this Wednesday. Don't forget to bring any questions you may have, and yeah, see you soon.